Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.com, and today we saw that there was a rapper who was killed down in Atlanta. His name is Young Teddy. I never heard of Young Teddy, but I'm very sad to hear that his life was taken so early. He was only 23 years old, and I wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit. And so to put some perspective on what's going on in hip-hop and the violence in hip-hop, I brought in my partner in crime, editor-in-chief at Your Black World, Miss Yvette Carnell. How you doing today, Yvette?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm stumbling over my words because I was thinking about, this brother dying because, it just hurts my heart. When it hurts my heart, not just because this person was too young to die, but also because I just get so sad when we have millions of young black boys who grow up thinking that all they can do is become rappers or basketball players. And, it's just sort of an overabundance. Every week I'm hearing about some rapper that I never even knew about, who probably wasn't even making any money as an artist, and he's been shot or something horrible has happened. He's gone to prison or whatever. And it's sad to me because their lives could have been so much more, so much different. Now, you and I were talking a little while ago, and you were kind of talking about what's going on in hip-hop and the violence in hip-hop, and you made some really good points. I literally cut you off in mid-sentence because I felt that other people need to hear what you had to say. Can you kind of tell me what your thoughts were on some of this?
Well, I was saying, listen, this is my thing. I don't necessarily have a problem with even the grimiest parts of hip-hop. That's not my issue. My issue is not, it's just like I'm not a woman who's like, oh, I'm totally anti-porn, anti-all porn. No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is really the proportionality. My problem is that that's all we get. All we get right now is Lil Wayne and probably, rest in peace, Young Teddy and Keith Chief. That's my problem. My problem is like, where are the other guys? You can't hear Mos Def on the radio. You can't hear any of that stuff on the radio anymore. The only thing we hear is stuff. And I'm not one of those people who says, Lil Wayne should be banished. He has no place in hip hop. Yes, he does. He has a place in hip hop among those grimy people who like to hear that. That he has a place in hip hop, and he strings together his lyrics in a way that a lot of people can't. So I'm not saying that he doesn't have a place. I'm just saying that he shouldn't be everything. He's not the king of all hip hop. He should, and people shouldn't just emulate him. It's just like that's all we get. All we get in hip hop is guys who sold crack, and guys who still brag about selling crack, and guys who brag about popping somebody in the head, and guys, So to me, that's the problem with hip hop. And you have to be honest about one thing. I think this is where people aren't being honest. There are a lot of people who will listen to Lil Wayne in their cars and then get out their car and be like, yeah, hip hop to these days is awful. The reason Lil Wayne resonates with people is because he's honest. Whether or not you love him, whether or not you hate him, he's honest about everything, even the nastiest, most disgusting things that you would never want, your wife or mama or anybody else to hear. He's honest about that. So I think you have to at least give that some credit in terms of authenticity. But it's just too much. Well, there's just other people who have authentic thoughts, who have intellectual thoughts, who like Immortal Technique, who have, political gangster thoughts. They don't even get into the game. So to me, the problem is one of proportionality. Why is everything about Lil Wayne and Stephen? That's everybody. 50 Cent. I got shot 20 times. How many times did I got shot? Everything is about them. They own the game. That's my problem.
I think that's a great point. It's funny. I'm in Chicago right now, and there were two things I saw that kind of made me think about what you say. And number one was all through the south side of Chicago, where I'm staying right now, I've been seeing these Chief Keef posters everywhere, for his new album, Finally Rich. And he's sitting there in the middle of a bunch of blunt smoke, just sort of, really regurgitating that negative imagery of black men just sitting around getting high and drunk all day and not doing anything with their lives, which is kind of unfortunate. And then the other thing that I saw in Chicago, I believe it was in Chicago, there was a billboard, and it had Lil Wayne standing next to Drake and Nicki Minaj, and there were a couple other artists in the background, and it said, "We are hip-hop." And it's interesting, that ties into what you were saying, that they have become what hip-hop is, and that's unfortunate because we know that hip-hop is more diverse than Lil Wayne or the gangster stuff, but that's kind of all you get. And when you think about how this whole industry is structured, how this works, you got to remember that the people that control media in this country are white people, people who don't necessarily care a whole lot about what happens in our communities. They're not connected to us. They don't care that often to see the diversity of who we are. So effectively what they do is they tend to attach themselves to the novelty of who we are. You know, for example, you've got this stupid show coming on TLC, I think, about, I think it's called The World's Greatest Funerals, which shows black people in the church shucking and jiving and doing all these ghetto antics, you know, at the funeral, which is ridiculous, cool stuff. And then you have another show, All My Baby's Mamas, coming on Oxygen, focusing on that side of the culture. Then you see what's going on with commercialized hip-hop, focusing on the gangster thug stuff that's really taking our boys who want a different lifestyle and immersing them so much in this culture that they end up becoming something otherwise. And that's interesting to me because to me it's almost like the way white folks kind of look at the black community, the way these corporations look at the black community by focusing only on certain aspects of who we are instead of seeing the entirety of who we are. It reminds me a lot of a man who is dating a beautiful woman and says, I don't want to hear what your hopes and dreams are. I don't want to hear where you come from. I don't care about anything about you other than the fact that you have a big booty. So when you come in the house, just show me your booty and you can have anything you want. If you don't show me your booty, then you pretty much have no value to me. And that's kind of what we are in corporate when it comes to white-dominated corporate America, is that we are pretty much the community that is constantly asked to show its booty. And the rest of us, or the rest of what we are, has absolutely no relevance when it comes to mainstream media. I'll let you get the last thought on this, Yvette. Where do you think we need to go with this? I mean, what do you think are some of the solutions to some of these issues?
Well, you know, honestly, I definitely agree with you in terms of, you know, the way it's all constructed. But you know, the second point I make, I think I was reading in the New York Times yesterday about this Chilean artist who they finally charged some army men in that country for his murder. So I think you have to really, first of all, I think you have to step back and understand the power of music. And I think you have to step back and understand the potential power of hip hop. And when you're doing that, you really have to see what hip hop was becoming. I mean, when hip hop came out, it was supposed to be, this is the CNN of the streets. This is who we are. We're telling what's going on in the streets. I mean, think about NWA and F the Police and how that ended up. You know, the LAPD actually had to start making statements about that. They actually started having to deal with stuff. You know, and then the cameras. Then when Rodney King was photographed and was videotaped, it was revealed that, hey, these dudes weren't wrong. The LAPD really is running around beating Negroes. So when you look at it that way, you look at the power that hip hop had, and so you begin to understand how it became co-opted, how the people who were talking about only money and only buying a Bentley and, you know, only finding a light-skinned girl to sleep with is my primary motive. You understand how those people were put to the top. Like, we're going to just promote that. We're going to pump that into the black community, and if we pump that into it enough, they're not going to crave anything else because marketing works. So if we pump that in there enough, they're not going to crave. They crave what we tell them to crave. If we give you potato chips, sure enough, you'll want potato chips. Even if there's an apple tree in your backyard, you'll want potato chips. All we got to do is advertise. So you begin to understand how they took the power of that new genre and made it their own. And that's what always happens. And like I said, I don't even have a problem with somebody every now and again flashing diamonds or whatever. Everybody likes a little luxury flash every now and again. But, like, this is all hip-hop is now. If you turn on the radio now, you won't hear not one conscious song. You won't. Everything is bottles popping and, you know, and bend over, and everything is just. It's just like soft porn with a blunt. That's just what it is, 24/7 now. And I just think they've been so successful in co-opting that medium that really could have took black people to the next level, you know, and it's become such, and it's so foolish because you hear black people, you know, basically rappers say, well, I got mine, you get yours. Well, that's the dumbest thing because that's not who we are. We used to be people that help each other, but we have now co-opted this false ethic that is an American ethic of rugged individualism. Well, nobody, the white corporations don't abide by that. They get welfare from the government. You're the only one talking about you're not going to help another black man. How stupid are you? So, I mean, you have to really just kind of understand why these artists are at the top. And and then I think you really get a sense of, what that plan is and why, the only people who are there are the people who are flashing like diamond rings that are going to have them broken, in 10 or 15 years. And it's all part of the plan, and we just keep falling right into the trap, like, consistently.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. The worst thing a black person can do in America is walk away from education. And we've got a lot of young people that have been convinced to walk away from education. And they end up walking right back into slavery. They end up walking right back into a set of life decisions that puts them either in prison or the morgue or the unemployment line. And, it's unfortunate. And I think that's why it's important that all of us continue to use our voice locally and nationally to really counter this message. I know that we don't have the power of a CNN or of a Radio One or of a I'm really actually thinking about Clear Channel, not so much Radio One, but I think all of us have an obligation to do what we can. That's why I created that last book that I released, called The Commercialized Hip Hop, The Gospel of Self-Destruction. Because literally these men on the radio and women it's mostly men, unfortunately, are pretty much like pastors that are preaching a message that leads our kids down the path towards self-destruction. And we have to speak up about that. I don't care if people get mad. I don't care if people hate me. I don't care if you call me a hater. You can call me whatever the hell you want. But the fact is that I'm going to fight for my children because you show us y'all are fighting for them because you're feeding them poison that is going to eventually kill them. So ultimately, we've all got to do our jobs, and I think over time, hopefully this will dissipate. If it doesn't, we need to at least die trying. So thanks for your time, Yvette. I appreciate your voice on this important issue. All right, thank you all for checking us out at yourblackworld.com. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.